It is very hard for archaeologists to explain how that was done using purely leverage and mechanical advantage.
We've been told that the pyramids of Egypt were built as tombs, constructed by tens of thousands of ancient Egyptians, armed with nothing but copper tools, ropes, and brute strength. The story goes that these colossal structures were the pinnacle of human effort in the Bronze Age, proof of ingenuity, perseverance, and devotion to a pharaoh. But what if that story, the one we've been told over and over in school books and documentaries, is only half the truth? Or worse, what if it's completely wrong? Graham Hancock, a man who's spent decades exploring mysteries that mainstream academia refuses to touch, believes that we've been looking at the pyramids all wrong. He argues that the real builders, the true story behind these monuments, has been hidden in plain sight, misrepresented, and in some cases, deliberately ignored. According to Hancock, the official narrative, the one that fits neatly into timelines and textbooks, isn't just incomplete. It's fundamentally flawed. Picture this: a structure so massive, so precise, that it could rival any modern construction. A monument of stone so perfectly aligned, so intricately built, that the finest architects today would struggle to replicate it. And yet, according to conventional history, it was built with copper chisels, sledges, ropes, and raw manpower. No advanced machinery, no blueprints, no lasers, just sheer human willpower. Doesn't it make you pause? Doesn't it make you wonder if maybe, just maybe, there's more to the story? If you've ever found yourself scrolling through YouTube late at night, hunting for mysterious history, or flipping through Netflix documentaries on ancient civilizations, chances are you've stumbled across Graham Hancock. He's the man who dares to ask the questions most scholars avoid. He's the one who challenges the neat, tidy timelines that most archaeologists cling to. And he has a theory that could completely change how we understand the greatest monuments of human history. Buckle up, because this isn't your history teacher's Egypt. Graham Hancock isn't an archaeologist. He isn't a dusty professor tucked away in a university office. He doesn't have multiple degrees in ancient history, and he hasn't spent his life digging through the sands of Egypt. That, in fact, is exactly what makes him so fascinating and controversial. Hancock is a British journalist by training. He started his career covering current affairs and international politics, writing for well-known publications like The Economist and The Times. He was immersed in the fast-paced world of news reporting, shaping narratives and analyzing modern events. But in the early 1990s, Hancock made a dramatic pivot. He left behind the headlines and political briefings to explore something far older, far more mysterious: ancient civilizations, forgotten histories, and the secrets that mainstream archaeology refuses to touch. In 1995, Hancock released his breakthrough book, Fingerprints of the Gods. The book didn't just challenge conventional history, it blew the doors off it. The core idea was revolutionary. Humanity may have been home to a highly advanced civilization that existed thousands of years before any known culture. This civilization, according to Hancock, possessed knowledge and technologies far beyond what we typically attribute to ancient societies. And when a cataclysm wiped them out, this knowledge wasn't lost. It was passed down, seeding subsequent civilizations. Hancock's work suggests that the pyramids, along with other monumental sites across the globe, are not merely relics of Bronze Age Egypt or Mesopotamia. They are remnants of this lost civilization. They are part of a forgotten inheritance, encoded in stone, geometry, and astronomical alignment. His arguments sparked both fascination and fury. Supporters see him as a visionary, uncovering truths that mainstream archaeology ignores. Critics dismiss him as a pseudoscientist, twisting evidence to fit wild theories. Since Fingerprints of the Gods, Hancock has continued to push boundaries. Books like Magicians of the Gods, America Before, and the Netflix docuseries Ancient Apocalypse expanded on his ideas, offering more proofs of a civilization lost to time. Yet, Hancock's biggest critique remains consistent. He believes archaeologists have become gatekeepers of a rigid, narrow narrative. According to him, academia favors tidy timelines and conventional interpretations, often disregarding evidence that challenges their assumptions. What makes Hancock so appealing to the public is precisely what makes him suspect to the scholarly world. He asks the questions that many people have long whispered to themselves but never voiced out loud. He questions everything from the precision of the pyramids to the origins of humanity. And at the center of all his inquiry lies the most audacious question of all: who really built the pyramids? Before we dive into Hancock's skepticism, let's take a step back and revisit the story you probably learned in school. According to mainstream archaeology, the Great Pyramid of Giza was built around 2560 BCE during the reign of Pharaoh Khufu. Its purpose? A tomb designed to house the pharaoh in the afterlife. The narrative goes something like this. Tens of thousands of workers labored over 20 years, moving colossal stones, carving them with copper chisels, and hauling them into precise positions using sledges, ropes, and ramps. The project, though monumental, is said to have been within the capabilities of a determined Bronze Age society. The pyramids were, in this telling, a triumph of human ingenuity, organization, and religious devotion. The Great Pyramid itself consists of roughly 2.3 million limestone and granite blocks, some weighing as much as 80 tons. The granite used in the internal chambers was transported over 500 miles from Aswan. Traditional historians suggest that this was done using barges, sledges, and a vast labor force. According to this story, the builders achieved unprecedented accuracy, aligning the pyramid almost perfectly with the cardinal points, creating chambers that are remarkably precise, and managing a construction timeline that seems superhuman by modern standards. On the surface, the orthodox story appears plausible, a testament to human effort and determination. But this is where Graham Hancock raises his eyebrows. The scale, precision, and logistical complexity, he argues, make the conventional explanation feel a little too convenient. For Hancock, the official story of the pyramid simply doesn't add up. Let's start with scale. The sheer number of stones is staggering. 2.3 million blocks, some weighing tens of tons. Transporting these from quarries hundreds of miles away, shaping them with copper tools, and placing them in exact positions requires not just skill, but something more. Technology or methods that the historical record does not support. Then there's timing. If the Great Pyramid was built over 20 years, as scholars suggest, the builders would have had to place a stone roughly every 2 to 3 minutes, 24 hours a day, without stopping for weather, disease, or labor issues. No errors, no delays, just perfect, continuous construction. Hancock asks us to imagine this and then question whether it's realistic. Next comes the lack of construction plans. For a building of such magnitude, one would expect detailed architectural drawings, schematics, or even rough diagrams. The ancient Egyptians left behind meticulous records, tax receipts, grain inventories, religious texts, but nothing resembling the blueprints needed to orchestrate the building of the largest structure in the ancient world. To Hancock, this absence is alarming. It's almost as if the pyramid simply appeared, fully formed. The tools present another puzzle. Copper chisels are soft. Granite is extremely hard. Even with modern tools, carving granite to the level of precision seen in the Great Pyramid is a formidable task. How could Bronze Age craftsmen achieve this? How could they create perfectly smooth walls, exact angles, and intricate internal chambers with soft metal tools and primitive techniques? Finally, consider the interior. Most Egyptian tombs, even those of minor officials, are decorated with hieroglyphics, paintings, and carvings. They celebrate the life of the deceased, their accomplishments, and their connection to the divine. The Great Pyramid, however, is stark. Empty chambers, bare walls, silent corridors. No inscriptions. No decoration. For what is supposed to be the final resting place of Pharaoh Khufu, this is highly unusual. Hancock argues that these discrepancies point to something far larger. The pyramids may not have been built by the Egyptians at all, at least not entirely in the way history suggests. Perhaps they inherited these structures, perfected by a lost civilization whose knowledge has been erased from our historical record. When we step back and look at the facts, the anomalies pile up. Why are there no plans for the pyramid? Why are the interior chambers so stark compared to other tombs of the same period? How could such precision be achieved without advanced tools? And why does granite, quarried 500 miles away, appear to have been worked with a level of sophistication impossible for copper tools. Even the timeline strains credibility. A stone every 2 to 3 minutes, consistently for 2 decades, is a staggering pace. And what about human error, illness, or supply shortages? The official story expects us to believe that a Bronze Age civilization operated with near superhuman efficiency. Hancock also points to the broader context. Pyramids and monuments around the world share remarkable similarities in alignment, geometry, and scale. Is it possible that these are not isolated achievements of different cultures, but remnants of a single, ancient, global civilization? The more you look, the more the official narrative seems incomplete. And Hancock isn't just questioning Egyptology. He's questioning our understanding of human history itself. So if not Khufu, then who? Who truly built the pyramids, and for what purpose? Was there a lost civilization with knowledge far beyond what we've imagined, whose wisdom shaped humanity in ways we are only beginning to understand? Graham Hancock doesn't just propose ideas. He challenges the very foundations of what we accept as history. His questions are uncomfortable, his theories controversial, but they ignite curiosity and demand investigation. As we stand at the base of the Great Pyramid, gazing up at its flawless stones, it's impossible not to wonder what secrets are buried in its silence. What knowledge did it inherit? And most importantly, how much of history as we know it is just a story someone wanted us to believe? The answers may lie hidden in plain sight, waiting for those willing to question everything. And Hancock is leading the charge. Graham Hancock argues that the pyramids are not just monuments. They are evidence of knowledge that far surpasses what we usually credit to the Bronze Age. Think about it. The Great Pyramid isn't just big, it's precise. Its base is leveled to within fractions of an inch. Its sides align almost perfectly with the cardinal points, north, south, east, and west. The internal chambers are so geometrically exact that even modern architects would struggle to replicate them. And yet, conventional history tells us this was all achieved with copper chisels, wooden sledges, and sheer human force. Hancock isn't saying the Egyptians weren't brilliant. They were. But he points out that the methods we are told about simply don't account for the level of precision we see. How do you carve granite blocks to fit together so perfectly that even a razor blade can't slip between them? How do you construct massive chambers and air shafts aligned with specific stars without advanced surveying tools or mathematics? And it's not just Egypt. Across the globe, ancient civilizations seem to share a curious pattern of knowledge. The pyramids of Mesoamerica, the ziggurats of Mesopotamia, and the megalithic sites in Europe all reveal a mastery of geometry, astronomy, and construction that feels eerily familiar. Hancock proposes that these structures are not isolated achievements, but remnants of a global ancient knowledge system. Perhaps a civilization lost to time passed on their wisdom in fragments, leaving behind monuments that still baffle us today. The Great Pyramid itself is a kind of encyclopedia in stone. Its dimensions encode mathematical constants, astronomical cycles, and possibly even a timeline of ancient catastrophes. Every chamber, passage, and shaft may have served a purpose beyond the immediate, tangible. Possibly a record, a memory, or even instructions left for future generations. When you look at these structures through Hancock's lens, it's no longer about brute labor or simple engineering. It's about a civilization whose understanding of the world was deep, deliberate, and highly advanced, far beyond what conventional history admits. One of Hancock's most provocative ideas is the cataclysm theory. He believes that the advanced civilization that built these pyramids, or at least left them behind, was destroyed by a global catastrophe. This wasn't a small regional disaster. We're talking about events that could have wiped out entire societies and reshaped the planet. Some researchers point to massive floods, comet impacts, or sudden ice age events that align with myths of lost civilizations around the world. Hancock interprets ancient myths, legends, and oral traditions as potential evidence. Stories of great floods, sudden disappearances, or divine punishment appear in cultures separated by thousands of miles, across continents, and through millennia. What if these myths are not just symbolic, but faint memories of actual cataclysms? What if survivors of this lost civilization carried knowledge across the globe, seeding new societies and inspiring the construction of monumental structures like the pyramids? This theory gives new context to the Great Pyramid. Perhaps it was not merely a tomb, but a repository of knowledge, a monument designed to survive catastrophe, a warning or a guide for future generations. Its geometry, orientation, and inscriptions, though minimal, could have encoded wisdom that humanity nearly lost forever. By considering the cataclysm theory, Hancock challenges the assumption that civilizations progress in a neat, linear fashion. History may not be a straight line of human achievement, but a series of rises, falls, and rediscoveries. And the pyramids? They may be the fingerprints of a world we've forgotten. Hancock is not shy about criticizing mainstream archaeology. In his view, the academic world has become a gatekeeper, fiercely protecting timelines and conventional narratives. Evidence that challenges these narratives is often ignored, marginalized, or dismissed outright. Take, for example, the Great Pyramid. No construction plans survive. No detailed records explain how stones weighing tens of tons were moved hundreds of miles. The tools available to the Egyptians seem insufficient for the level of precision achieved. And yet, many archaeologists treat these anomalies as mere curiosities rather than red flags. Hancock argues that this silence is more than mere oversight. It reflects an institutional bias, a preference for tidy, easily digestible explanations over messy, inconvenient truths. Scholars who question the orthodox story often face ridicule or professional obstacles. The result is a stifling of curiosity, a culture where alternative theories are treated as pseudo-history rather than legitimate inquiry. For Hancock and his followers, this isn't just about pride or academic politics. It's about human knowledge. By ignoring evidence that doesn't fit established timelines, we may be missing the bigger picture of our own history. What if the real story of the pyramids, and civilization itself, is hidden behind a veil of professional caution and intellectual rigidity? One of the most fascinating aspects Hancock highlights is the global pattern of mysterious alignments. The pyramids at Giza are famously aligned with Orion's belt. Across the world, similar astronomical alignments appear in other ancient sites. The solstices at Stonehenge, the orientation of Machu Picchu, or the layout of the ziggurats in Mesopotamia. These patterns suggest a shared knowledge, a sophisticated understanding of the heavens that predates known civilizations. The repetition of these alignments across continents hints at a source of wisdom that transcended geography. Could these civilizations have inherited knowledge from a common ancient predecessor? Or were they guided by something far older, encoded in myths, monuments, and stones? Hancock doesn't claim to have all the answers, but he points out that the coincidences are too precise to ignore. The global alignment of pyramids, megaliths, and sacred sites may indicate a deliberate transmission of knowledge, a system of information hidden in plain sight for millennia. So why should any of this matter to us now? Beyond fascination or conspiracy, Hancock argues that understanding the pyramids could rewrite human history. Recognizing the possibility of advanced, lost civilizations challenges our assumptions about human progress. It reminds us that history is not always linear or complete. There's also practical value. Studying the techniques, astronomical knowledge, and geometric sophistication of these ancient monuments can inform modern science, engineering, and architecture. It encourages curiosity, critical thinking, and the willingness to question established narratives. Hancock urges us not to accept textbooks as absolute truth. Instead, he calls for investigation, open-minded exploration, and the courage to ask difficult questions. The pyramids are more than stone. They are a challenge to our understanding of human potential. The Great Pyramid of Giza is more than a tomb. It is a mystery, a puzzle, and a message from a world we may barely understand. The Orthodox story leaves too many questions unanswered. How were the stones moved, carved, and aligned with such precision? Why are the interiors so bare and undecorated? Why do we find similar alignments and techniques around the world? Graham Hancock may be controversial, dismissed by scholars as a troublemaker, but he asks the questions that demand attention. His work reminds us that history is not static, that what we accept as truth today may be challenged tomorrow. the ultimate question remains, who really built the pyramids? And what other secrets of human history are we overlooking? The answers may be buried in the stones themselves, waiting for those brave enough to look beyond the textbooks, question authority, and explore the mysteries left by our ancestors. The pyramids, silent yet monumental, still whisper their secrets. And Hancock is listening. The Great Pyramid of Giza isn't just big. It's a marvel of engineering precision that continues to baffle modern architects and engineers. Its base spans over 13 acres, and yet it is leveled to within a fraction of an inch. Each corner forms an almost perfect right angle, aligned precisely to the cardinal points of the compass: north, south, east, and west. Imagine achieving that level of accuracy without lasers, GPS, or advanced surveying tools. Inside, the chambers and passageways are equally astonishing. The King's Chamber, for example, is constructed with granite blocks so precisely cut that even a razor blade cannot fit between them. Air shafts from the King's and Queen's chambers align with specific stars, like Orion's Belt and Sirius, hinting at astronomical knowledge far beyond what we typically credit to Bronze Age societies. Hancock argues that this precision suggests more than human ingenuity alone. It implies access to advanced techniques, a sophisticated understanding of mathematics, and possibly knowledge passed down from a civilization lost to history. The scale, geometry, and alignment of the pyramids are not random. They are deliberate, calculated, and undeniably sophisticated, even today. With our modern technology, replicating this feat would be an enormous challenge. And yet, according to the Orthodox story, it was achieved with copper chisels, wooden sledges, and thousands of laborers working under the hot Egyptian sun. The discrepancy between what is possible and what was supposedly done is exactly what Hancock finds so compelling and suspicious. The stones themselves present another puzzle. The granite blocks used in the internal chambers were quarried from Aswan, more than 500 miles away. Some of these blocks weigh as much as 80 tons. How exactly were they transported over such distances without modern vehicles or machinery? Traditional explanations suggest barges, sledges, and large teams of workers, but even Hancock finds this explanation unsatisfying. Then there's the matter of cutting and shaping the stone. Copper chisels, which are soft by modern standards, were supposedly used to carve extremely hard granite with flawless precision. Even modern stone cutters struggle with granite, requiring diamond-tipped tools and advanced machinery to achieve similar results. Hancock proposes that the techniques used may have been lost to time, whether through unknown methods of stone cutting, water-assisted transport, or even tools and technologies from a civilization that preceded the Egyptians. The evidence points to skills far beyond what mainstream archaeology credits to the Bronze Age. The combination of scale, precision, and material complexity makes it difficult to believe that the pyramids were simply the result of manpower and rudimentary tools. It is as if the builders had knowledge handed down from a previous, more advanced society. Central to Hancock's argument is the idea of a lost civilization that predates known history. He points to sites around the world that suggest a level of sophistication we are only beginning to understand. Take Göbekli Tepe in modern-day Turkey, for example. Over 10,000 years old, it predates Stonehenge by millennia. Its massive stone pillars, carved with incredible precision, suggest organized labor and advanced planning far earlier than previously thought possible. Pumapunku in Bolivia is another striking example. Enormous stone blocks are cut with such exactitude that even modern engineers struggle to explain how it was done with simple tools. Hancock argues that these sites, alongside the pyramids, point to a global civilization whose knowledge was dispersed across continents after a catastrophe. Monuments, myths, and architectural techniques became the surviving traces of a once advanced society encoded in stone and tradition. If we accept this theory, the history of humanity looks very different. Civilization may not have developed linearly from simple hunter-gatherers to complex societies. Instead, there may have been peaks of knowledge and technology that were lost and later rediscovered, or inherited by subsequent cultures. Legends from around the world often reference lost lands, floods, and advanced peoples. From Plato's Atlantis to Sumerian texts, from Hindu epics to Egyptian myths, stories of cataclysm and advanced societies recur across continents and eras. Hancock interprets these myths. As more than mere stories, they may be fragmented memories of real events or repositories of ancient knowledge. The recurrence of flood myths, for example, could indicate a global disaster, perhaps the same cataclysm that wiped out a lost civilization and inspired the survivors to build enduring monuments. These myths also describe advanced technology, knowledge of astronomy and architectural feats, suggesting that ancient humans may have had capabilities that have since been forgotten. In this light, the pyramids are not tombs. They are a message, a record, and possibly a warning left by people who understood far more than history gives them credit for. Recent archaeological discoveries continue to challenge conventional timelines. Göbekli Tepe's age and complexity, Pumapunku's precision, and the astronomical alignments of various ancient sites around the world all hint at advanced knowledge passed down through generations. Hancock suggests that when we connect these dots, a picture emerges of humanity that is very different from the neat, linear story we've been taught. Civilization may have risen, fallen, and risen again, carrying remnants of knowledge across time and geography. The pyramids in this context are part of a larger global puzzle. Their geometry, alignment, and sheer scale may be clues to understanding not just Egypt, but the development of human knowledge worldwide. Of course, Hancock's theories are controversial. Critics dismiss them as pseudo-archaeology, arguing that he ignores evidence and relies on speculation. Academic institutions are often skeptical, emphasizing the evidence for Bronze Age construction and downplaying anomalies. Supporters, however, see him as a courageous thinker, challenging orthodoxy. They argue that archaeology sometimes ignores inconvenient facts, precision of construction, material complexity, and global alignments, simply because they don't fit established timelines. The debate underscores a fundamental tension in history. Should we accept traditional explanations unquestioningly, or explore anomalies that may hint at a more complex past? Hancock clearly chooses the latter, pushing the boundaries of curiosity and inquiry. Hancock's work isn't just about the past. It has lessons for the present. Questioning authority, thinking critically, and exploring anomalies encourages intellectual curiosity. It reminds us that humans are capable of more than we often assume, and that history may hold surprises waiting to be discovered. By examining the pyramids and other ancient sites, we learn that knowledge can survive cataclysms, myths can carry real information, and our understanding of the world should remain flexible. The story of the pyramids challenges us to think beyond textbooks and embrace the mysteries that define human history. Graham Hancock proposes that the pyramids may contain hidden messages, deliberately encoded into their geometry, dimensions, and alignments. Look closely at the Great Pyramid, and patterns begin to emerge. Mathematical constants like p, pi, and f, the golden ratio, appear to be subtly integrated into its design. The lengths, angles, and proportions are not random. They suggest deliberate knowledge of mathematics and astronomy far beyond what we typically attribute to the Bronze Age. Then there are the air shafts in the king's and queen's chambers. These narrow passages are precisely aligned with specific stars, including Orion's belt and Sirius. Some researchers speculate that these alignments were used as calendars or observatories. But Hancock suggests something even more fascinating. They may encode information about the cosmos, time cycles, or even catastrophic events in Earth's history. Think of the pyramids as giant stone instruction manuals, written in a language of geometry and alignment. If Hancock is right, the pyramids were not merely tombs. They were repositories of ancient wisdom, a way to preserve knowledge for future generations in the face of potential disaster. This perspective forces us to reconsider everything we thought we knew about these structures. The pyramids are not just monuments. They are messages from a past civilization whose understanding of the universe may have exceeded our own. Hancock often emphasizes the striking parallels between ancient sites around the world. The Pyramids of Giza are not alone in their sophistication. In Mesoamerica, the pyramids of Teotihuacan and Mayan temples show similar mastery of alignment, geometry, and scale. Across Europe, Stonehenge exhibits precise astronomical alignments and advanced engineering despite its age. In South America, sites like Sacsayhuaman and Machu Picchu feature enormous stone blocks cut with near-perfect precision, often weighing tens of tons. The recurrence of these patterns raises an intriguing possibility. These civilizations may have inherited knowledge from a common source. Perhaps an advanced global civilization existed long before the ones we typically study, and remnants of its wisdom are scattered across the planet. If Hancock's theory is correct, these sites are not isolated achievements. They are fragments of a larger, interconnected system of knowledge. This perspective challenges the conventional view that human history developed linearly, from simple to complex. Instead, it suggests cycles of advanced understanding, transmission, and loss. Across continents and millennia, the fingerprints of this forgotten civilization may still be visible, encoded in stone, aligned with stars, and waiting for us to decode their meaning. One of Hancock's most compelling arguments revolves around the silence of historical records. The Egyptians left behind an abundance of documentation, tax records, religious texts, and inventories, but no construction plans for the pyramids. No schematics, no detailed instructions, nothing to explain how tens of millions of stone blocks were quarried, transported, and assembled with